Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of the five-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com, coming to you on Thursday, February 27th. That's right, just days before the LA Galaxy kick off their 2020 season. That's right, Saturday. It's on us. The season is here. All 26 MLS teams will be in action this weekend to get the 2020 season started. The LA Galaxy traveling to the Houston Dynamo. That's obviously something huge we're going to talk about. It will be a big part of this show. A lot of LA Galaxy news to cover as well, including your rumors, your injury updates, and all that fun stuff, and obviously getting you ready for the Houston Dynamo on Saturday. All right, to help me do it, he's back in the studio. You've missed him. It's Mr. Larry Morgan, not on Twitter. Larry, how's it going, buddy?
Pretty good, Josh. I've covered a lot of preseasons with this team, and this one has gone by very quickly. The regular season, start of the season, has really come upon us fast, kind of surprisingly so, but I can't wait for it to start.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's like, okay, it feels like the off season is forever.
This one.
Not this one. This one was quick, and it shouldn't have been quick because everything ended very early, Larry.
Yes.
So, just seeing this LA Galaxy team, sitting there and now prepared to go. I think everything sort of says, okay, it's game time. I mean, that's all it is. This is, everybody says the preseason's over. You're preparing for a game this week. This is week one right now.
And GBS says, and I quote, "We're ready."
We're ready. What's he going to say? We're not ready.
I know. Can I have another month, please?
We're not ready. Could you just give me a little more time, please?
A little more time, about another month.
Yeah, exactly. And we both know that that's not going to happen. So, whenever you look at this, that's what you get with the LA Galaxy. Everything is now set in course. You have basically your roster all set for the LA Galaxy as well, although there could be some additions, but there's 25 guys on this roster now, Larry, so that's it. You're now tapped out on this roster and how many sort of people you're going to have and what's going to change. You might add one or two pieces, maybe one piece by the close of this transfer window, which happens in May 5th, and then maybe you add one or two pieces in the summer, but that's it. You're done.
And they have to be roster compliant by tomorrow, right?
That is true.
At what time?
It doesn't matter because the Galaxy are already roster compliant. This isn't like last year whenever Giovanni Dos Santos was hanging out there and it was like a decision day.
Remember how long and contracted the situation that was? That was ridiculous.
It was long. It
really was.
It was filled with rumors. It
Yep.
was filled with some MLS writers going out of their way to call the LA Galaxy cheaters before they had
Yep.
even done anything.
Did you ever call them cheaters?
They basically did. They're saying the Galaxy are trying to cheat the system, the whole deal, which is still true. So
I think they were just being creative with the system.
Well, yeah, I mean,
You have to be.
You do have to be, and you have to understand, what you're getting out of all these different things. With Giovanni Dos Santos, it was about opening up the designated players. It was about doing all these things that they needed to have done. And so, ultimately they came to the decision that they were going to just write it off. And we don't know.
At the cost of multi-millions, but they can afford it.
Well, we don't even know because we don't know how
That's
much
true.
they ended up
That's
selling
true.
them for, and whether or not the Galaxy get any of that money or how that all goes. But we know that, they wrote it off and that was that. We're done.
Was unceremoniously booted out the door,
He
basically.
He was. So that's what you saw with the LA Galaxy last year. This year's totally different. As far as I can tell right now, Larry, the LA Galaxy are perfectly roster compliant already. There's no need to change anything or do anything.
Do they get a prize for that?
No, absolutely not. Nothing.
Okay.
No,
No wooden spoon or anything? Or?
No. That's it. No, I think they have their limit on wooden spoons in the
I hope that's right.
Before 2020.
Yeah.
Bottom line now is the season starts. I mean, you're now in the season, and everybody knows you're in the season, and that's where you're at. There's no more sort of changing things. And listen, all the teams are sort of in a state of, not being ready. So, the Galaxy, if we say the Galaxy aren't ready, because from what I saw against Chicago, yeah, of course, you're not playing very good soccer yet. So you're quote unquote not ready, but the games are going to start counting on Saturday. So It doesn't really matter.
Speaking of the roster, I like the roster. I think they're going to be faster. I think they're going to be quicker. Yes, they're going to be missing the 30 goals Lawton scored last season, but I think they will have more than enough scoring with the likes of Pavone and Chicharito. Katai, if he ever gets healthy and whatever injury he is, and there's a lot of speculation that he has been hurt, but I think they'll be fine. But I do like what they have this year.
Yeah.
Even though it's not complete yet, because we expect them maybe to add a piece or two in the very near future.
Yeah, I mean, the big deal here is, and I was talking to somebody today who was previewing this match, and we were having a discussion about what the LA Galaxy did in the offseason. I'm like, listen, if you go man for man, I can tell you right now, I think that this LA Galaxy team is probably less talented than the one that played last year. Obviously, yeah, you're talking about Zlatan Ibrahimovic, which is a huge part of that talent, but you're missing guys like a Fabio Alvarez, and you're missing guys like Uriel Antuna, who I think were talented in their own ways, weren't necessarily game changers, but who are those guys right now on the LA Galaxy team? And I think, Sasha Kljestan coming in is certainly, you could say, a like for like, maybe even better than Fabio Alvarez. He's older, but he's smarter.
He's not quite as fast.
But
he is older and smarter. Experience really matters in cases like this.
Yeah, and I think Bruce Arena proved that over and over again. I mean, you look at how Bruce creates his, and that's one of the reasons that people talk about how the Bruce didn't play his youngsters.
Bruce loved his veterans.
Yeah, he did, but you know why? Because he knew what he was going to get
Correct.
out of the veterans. That's the simple answer for why Bruce did what he did.
And you can't argue against his track record.
You now look at
that strategy.
No, and you can't. Now you look at what Guillermo Barros-Schelotto and what Dennis DeClosa are looking at, and you're saying they're backfilling with younger players, and you can see that.
And players they're familiar with from South America.
Yeah, absolutely. So they have some veteran presence. So they don't have a horrible mix. I'm not saying that anything is bad or wrong. It's just it's different. I think that this team is less talented than the team that they had last year. However, having said that, I think this is probably the better team. So I think that if you look at how all the pieces fit together, this feels good. Now, unlike people who are out there trying to predict massive things for people and I think are being too optimistic on this stuff, I think a better team doesn't necessarily mean that they win more games, Larry. But in my mind, they're going to play better soccer.
One of the things I like about this team is Sasha Kljestan is 34 years old. He's the oldest player on this team. I think that's a good sign that they are going younger.
MLS now is, and I just read this today, MLS, its average age of players both in the U.S. and Canada on these teams, right? So basically all of MLS is 24.5 years old.
That's outstanding.
It's like 2 years younger than it was just 2 years ago.
Love to see young players like that.
So everything's skewing earlier, which is what it is. But, having said that, there's 2 days until the LA Galaxy play at Houston. There's 9 days until the LA Galaxy have their home opener versus the Vancouver Whitecaps. There's 68 days left in the primary transfer window. All this stuff can still change in a pretty rapid order. I know Dennis DeClosa said basically today was, hey, I think Damien was reporting this. I don't know if you got to talk to Dennis. Did you get to talk?
I didn't.
No, okay.
No, I didn't.
But Damien Calhoun was reporting that Dennis said, and I'll paraphrase because I don't have it right in front of me, but he said, there's a possibility we still may add a piece here earlier, or it could be in the summer. But right now on Saturday, this is the roster we're playing with, and
it's not a bad roster,
and we're going forward with it.
Yeah. Going back to the AIDS thing, gosh, it wasn't too long ago when we saw all these older veterans being brought in from overseas, and that's why this league had the stigma of being a, quote, retirement league, unquote, but that's no longer the case.
No, it's not. So, again, it's just you just sort of have to keep your eye on what is happening with the Galaxy, and, these first 4 or 5 games are going to be kind of telling. How quickly they can sort of get things together, how they can put things together. They're going up against a Houston team, by the way, that doesn't lose openers very often, and has a winning record against the LA Galaxy. We'll talk a whole bunch about that.
But if there's one good sign about playing Houston now, they aren't playing him in the summer when it's about 140 degrees.
It is a thing. I actually have a weather forecast for everybody. I looked it up, so we'll be able to talk about that too. Let's get to some LA Galaxy news to start with. The Galaxy did sign Gordon Wild. Now, I know it's no surprise to all the listeners of this podcast because we told you a long time ago that Guillermo Barros-Schelotto told everybody he was going to sign Gordon Wild. So Gordon Wild was originally selected by Atlanta in the 2018 MLS Super Draft. He never played for Atlanta. He went down and played with the Charleston Battery on a season-long loan in 2018. He had 33 games played, 20 games started, 1,846 minutes, and he had 7 goals and 3 assists. He also played for Loudoun United, which is DC United's USL championship team, made 16 appearances there and spent 2 seasons at the University of Maryland where he scored 22 goals. He's a forward, 5'10", 172 pounds, and 24 years of age. Okay, Larry,
Do you know all the stuff off the top of your head?
No, of course not. I have it all written down in front of me so I can be
So
smart.
in other words, you're cheating.
No, this is studying. I mean,
studying. Okay.
I'm prepared. It's an open book test every
open
week.
Book test.
Okay, so. But you actually got to talk to Gordon today. So tell me a little bit about him, because this is a German kid, right?
A German kid, yes. He comes actually from a family of acrobats. He never went up on the trapeze. I told him that you couldn't pay me enough to go up there, and said I wouldn't go up there either. He says because of all the traveling, his father, who I believe is just about to turn 80 years old and is retired, can speak 9 languages.
That's pretty impressive,
and
isn't it?
I think Gordon said he can speak like 4 or 5. He can understand some. I'm not sure he's bilingual in 4 or 5, but he can understand languages. He basically said when the Galaxy contacted him when the technical director Jovan Krosky first called him and told him that the Galaxy is interested in him, it pretty much was a no-brainer to sign with these guys. He told me today, if I can recall the story I wrote today, that he says I have a lot to prove. I'm not finished in America. And he's very happy with the opportunity here, and he has looked pretty good in preseason.
Yeah, he hasn't looked bad.
I
mean,
he's a good depth guy. And a spot starter, or certainly off the bench, maybe 15, 20 minutes a game.
Yeah, I mean, here's if the Galaxy
if you have to start him, I think he can do it.
If the Galaxy are down a man, or down a goal or something, and it's in the second half, and you need to throw somebody in, he might be somebody.
Sure.
Zubac might be that guy. I think what the Galaxy are doing here is they're taking a flyer on a guy. They're thinking he's going to develop a little bit late, and he is continuing the tradition of Terps of University of Maryland graduates.
That's
with
right.
AJ De La Garza and Omar Gonzalez and Robbie Rogers
and Mrs. Podcast.
Oh yes, Mrs. Podcast.
Come on, you got to mention
Mrs.
her.
Pato. Yes, she did. She went to school with Omar and AJ. I've told the story many times, and I didn't believe her. And finally, I got Omar and her in the same room.
Did she know them in college?
Yeah, she did know them in college.
Good.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. So not that they were friends, but she actually lived above, I think, AJ in the dorms. So they would, there's stories. I've had both of them tell me the stories at the same time. I believe them. So. Both of them, but yeah. So the Maryland. Actually, I have a Maryland scarf in this studio as well.
Yeah, but Gordon is genuinely happy to be here, and he's happy to have a home for at least this season, and he hopes for many years to come.
Hey, John in our chat room, by the way, says he's a Terp as well.
All right.
So fear the turtle, John. Go.
Turtle power.
Terps.
Turtle power.
Go Terps. Fear the turtle. I made my wife get me a Fear the Turtle shirt because I was like, the only thing I can think of that's worse than Fear the Turtle is Fear the Tree, which is Stanford,
right? Oh, the
right?
Stanford tree?
Yeah. I
one time was covering a UCLA basketball game during Christmas at Pauley, and the tree came out with Christmas ornaments on it. It was hysterical.
I can't handle Fear the Tree, Fear the Turtle. They're my adopted men's soccer team because Arizona State doesn't have a men's soccer team. They have a women's soccer program. So women's soccer, I'm a big Sun Devil fan of, but men's soccer, I've adopted Maryland, which is good because they're one of the top programs in the country.
Sure.
Anyway, off of that. So that's where you get Gordon Wildin officially on the roster now. I think we told you about it on the live show. I think we told you about it on Monday, and it has happened. The only one that hasn't happened is the only one that I'm still predicting. Eventually, someday, maybe, I don't know. I think maybe I'm just wishing now, is Kai Koreniuk, who was a LA Galaxy 2 player last year, who has been very good this preseason. I still think that there's room and depth there.
And that is the correct pronunciation.
It's a good guess. I don't know. I haven't talked to him.
I haven't talked to him either. I don't know what he looks like.
Yeah, it's so anyway, he's been good. He may still be added to the roster. He may not. It sort of depends, I think, on what Guillermo and what Dennis have in mind for the close of this transfer window and obviously the summer as well. They don't want to put somebody on the senior team and sign them if they're just going to end up not using that spot. So if that's a valuable spot to them, they might not bring him up. So anyway, just sort of put that in there as we go there. More LA Galaxy news, and we'll give you there's some great stuff we're going to talk about. This is something I want to talk about real quick, just sort of shift right on through. But the LA Galaxy are hosting their annual golf tournament on June 8th to benefit the LA Galaxy Foundation. It's Monday, June 8th at Rolling Hills Country Club, south of Torrance, southwest of Carson, not too far away.
The hoity-toity down there.
Yeah, you play there all the time?
No, I have not, but It's a pretty fancy place.
All right. So that's where it is. Now, if you want to, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is not catered towards your everyday fan. That's not the idea. This is more catered towards businesses, really, more than anything. That
catered to the rich and famous.
And the rich and famous. I would say businesses, because if you're going to spend $5,000, which is what a foursome costs.
Now, my question is it for a foursome or is it for a membership?
No, yeah, I know, right? You would think you almost get that. So $5,000, you write it off as a business expense. Not only that, but a charitable donation.
Sure.
I understand why they do that. So that's what it is. If you're an individual, it's $1,250. If you just want to attend the post-tournament hosted cocktail reception with LA Galaxy players and alumni, then it's $500.
Now, one time I told you before the broadcast, I played in one of these tournaments at Coyote Hills, and Eddie Lewis won the tournament, and I good-naturedly voiced a complaint about him winning.
Oh yeah,
but they still gave him the title,
and they still let you stay there, huh?
Yeah, still let me stay there.
It was good. All right,
and he was a good player. Chris Klein's a very good player too.
There used to be a whole bunch of Galaxy players who played a lot. I know Dave Romney and Dan Steres play.
David Bingham plays.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch.
Perry Kitchen plays.
There's Kevin Kitchen.
Perry Kitchen.
Yeah, okay. Just checking.
Kevin Kitchen?
You know that story, right? That's the whole Zlatan didn't know Perry's first name, and he called him Kevin for like the first 1 or 2 months. I may have told that to a national broadcaster today, and it may or may not be included in the broadcast this weekend. But no.
Well, at least it didn't call him Perry Mason.
I don't know. I think Kevin Kitchen was pretty bad. So that's what we have. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if we look past this weekend, so obviously we're going to get you ready for Houston, but if we look past this weekend, what you're going to find is there are a number of events and things that are happening this upcoming week that I have to start telling you about right now. And the LA Galaxy are calling this LA Galaxy Week programming. All right, and there is stuff every single day, including stuff that starts on Saturday, February 29th, with a watch party at Tom's Watch Bar on Figueroa in
right by
LA.
Live.
Yeah, it is LA Galaxy Watch Party presented by Modelo. First 100 fans and Galaxy gear to receive discounted parking, $3 off, 40-ounce Modelo's as well. Drink responsibly.
And 40 ounces. That's huge.
It's good. That means you don't have to keep going up to the bar and reloading.
True.
So if
I hope there's a limit though, because that can really amount to a lot of beer being consumed.
There's always
and I am unfamiliar with ingesting those amounts of beer.
When the game is over, usually everything is done. All right. So anyway, 11 a.m. Pacific time, doors open. 12:30 p.m. is kickoff. It's not really 12:30, but it's going to be close enough. 1:30 p.m. Pacific time, halftime raffle. That's sort of where you have that there. That's just to start. I'll tell you before I get to the rest of these events that in advance of the LA Galaxy's home opener on Saturday, March 7th, Chicharito will basically appear on every television show ever created. He's going to be on Jimmy Kimmel Live, The Late Late Show with James Corden, Sports Center, and with Univision's Jorge Ramos, and on TUDN, so it's Univision's
And we thought
Versus.
Zlatan was on TV a lot. Holy smokes.
Poor Chicharito is going to be exhausted after he comes back from Houston. This is all starting stuff this next week, so keep your eyes open for all of those appearances. That came from LA Galaxy PR. Lots of things happening right now. Okay.
And if you're tired of all these broadcasts, just tune into replays of Josh's podcast. More than I mean, it'll be fine to take up that time. It'll be very good alternate viewing.
I appreciate the half penny every time somebody watches. So that's always
the half
good.
penny. Wow.
I know it's a lot. I know. We've been upping it lately. Sunday, March 1st. This is now termed, and I don't know that they've ever done this before. This is kind of cool. This took a ton of coordination. But Sunday, March 1st is LA Galaxy Day throughout Los Angeles. And whenever we say Los Angeles, we mean the real Los Angeles, which basically encapsulates all of Southern California and some of Las Vegas. All right, so Galaxy Day. Fans throughout Los Angeles wearing LA Galaxy gear will receive discounts at local businesses all day, including Blue Butterfly Coffee Company, Firestone Walker Brewing Company, Steelcraft Long Beach, and Guerra Tacos, plus LA iconic restaurants Cantor's Deli Original and Tommy's Hamburgers and more. There's a complete list, lagalaxy.com/LA Galaxy Day, where you can find all of the participating businesses, and I don't know that I've ever seen anything roll out like this before. In terms of the scope of this, there are a ton of places to receive discounts.
Pretty impressive, to say the least. Pretty impressive. I don't know if I'll partake in any of it, but pretty impressive anyway.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how it all plays out. But Sunday, March 1st, wear your Galaxy gear. fans throughout Los Angeles will receive discounts if you wear your LA Galaxy stuff. Again, LAGalaxy.com, LA Galaxy Day.
Will you take advantage of this? Will you wear your Galaxy gear?
It's Sunday. That is a baby watching day. Everybody knows that, so I don't think I'll be going anywhere.
Will your son be wearing his
That's
Galaxy
a good idea.
kits?
I should probably put him in some stuff and drag him around and get free stuff all day. That's a great way to use a baby. I love it.
That's right.
Monday, March 2nd, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, the LA Galaxy Digital Takeover. They're going to provide customized graphics for fans to post on various social media platforms. Check into the Galaxy social media platforms for giveaway. You go to Tuesday, Dignity Health Sports Park, the LA Galaxy have a reading celebration where LA Galaxy players, coaches, and staff are going to read to local champion Project Youth. Then you have Tuesday evening, dusk, around 6 p.m. It's the Pacific Wheel at Pacific Park down on the Santa Monica Pier. We know about this. They've done it every year. The LA Galaxy light up Santa Monica. And they will light up Santa Monica in advance of the team's 2020 home opening match. The Pacific Wheel at Pacific Park, the world's first solar-powered Ferris wheel, will be illuminated with the LA Galaxy logo and colors on the Santa Monica
Pier. Will
Pier.
there also be a caricature of you in the Ferris wheel?
No, I haven't paid off.
Okay.
That's a large bill. I don't have that.
That's probably a good thing.
Happy hour after the Pacific Wheel lighting at Ye Olde King's Head in Santa Monica. $1 off Modelo after 8 p.m. Pacific time. You can go there. Wednesday, Nikki's Sports Day. Basically, Nikki Sports Long Beach, downtown Los Angeles, and Bell Gardens will have player appearances at Nikki Sports Wednesday, March 4th, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. They'll announce who the players are and those locations, so check that out. Thursday, we're only at Thursday. I'm going to stop here because you can be critical of the LA Galaxy a lot. And I think we do a fair job of being critical of them whenever they deserve criticism. In this particular case, they have put together a schedule of events that probably took them close to 6 months to prepare whenever you look at all the things that they have going on.
If you wanted your fill of the LA Galaxy, this is it.
You could do it. So Thursday, LA Galaxy and Saturday's Football. The LA Galaxy are collaborating with Saturday's Football to offer a free-to-play pickup soccer game at the iconic Bayshore basketball courts in Long Beach. Let's go to Friday now. Friday, LA Galaxy Soccer Center. So how
many days in a week are there?
It feels like there's 20 right now. The multiple events per day probably do that. LA Galaxy Day at the Soccer Center. Then there's LA Galaxy and Black Arrow FC Pop-Up Party, the new collaboration between LA Galaxy and Black Arrow FC, a lifestyle brand focused on the intersection of soccer and black culture. We'll see a pop-up party at Vector 90, the cultural hub and co-working space started by David Gross and Nipsey Hussle. You go later than that, the Galaxy Gathering night before party. So the day before the home opener, Friday, March 6th, from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m., LA Galaxy party with appearances from LA Galaxy alumni, event held in collaboration with the LA Riot Squad as a continuation of their first Friday series. It's at Boomtown Brewery, 700 Jackson Street, Los Angeles. And then, of course, Saturday, it's just a soccer game. Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, and don't forget the soccer game.
It is again, tip of the hat. What they're trying to do here and the scope in which they're trying to do it, Larry, I don't know that I've seen before.
I think it's great.
It's fun. Weird Galaxy stuff.
I can't remember just anything else like this. I'm like you. I don't remember anything, especially to this extreme.
I mean, go around. Okay, so professional sports. Let's just say, for like the Angels or the Dodgers. Do they have a whole week with events like this with so many things? I don't remember them doing it.
No, they might have a day.
Yeah, there's like a fan fest day. I think the LA Kings even have like a fan fest tonight. It might be tonight, it might have been another night. But just looking at that, you sit there and say, you have to be a little lucky to be in Major League Soccer and supporting Major League Soccer and supporting the LA Galaxy right now at a time when all of this stuff is right in front of you like this. Because I don't know that it ever comes back.
And the timing certainly can't be any better than, it's a new season, got some new players, exciting players. Why not take advantage of it?
So that's what you have coming up this next week. It's a huge program put forth by the LA Galaxy. You got Chicharito being on everybody's show. I'll put out our request for him to be on our show as well. So
I wonder if they will live up to that request.
I don't know. I can ask.
I think chances are, sure, why not ask? But chances are, no.
Yeah, well, I'm used to that. I asked for Zlatan. I was told that Zlatan is not coming on my show. So I was like, okay, I guess. Anyway, so that's what we have for the LA Galaxy. Now, just again, a heads up, 25 players on the LA Galaxy's preseason roster. The roster compliance deadline is on Friday, so as you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure there's a roster deadline, and it's probably passed, and the LA Galaxy seem just fine on that. But with 25 players, there are still 5 positions for the LA Galaxy to fill. They do not have any restrictions on those, as far as I can see, and I haven't seen the breakdown of senior versus supplemental versus reserve roster slots, and all those matter as well.
How about the international spots?
International slots, the LA Galaxy, with Rolf Felcher's
They
green
have 7
card,
now, right?
have 7 of 8.
So room for 1. So
There's room for 1, or if they go out and buy another international slot, there's room for 2.
Okay.
So that means Didi Traore, who we had speculated might be sent down, is probably staying up for right now.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that you're sort of at. And by the way, the chat room's asking about the promotional schedule, right? You know how the LA Galaxy always have like Star Wars night or give away this and give away that. I heard that promotional schedule should be coming out next week. Okay. All right, and it's ahead of the season opener. All right, so
because how many events do these guys have?
It's a lot. I mean, I know we're critical.
It's great to see this team do this, but geez,
it's a lot. It's a lot, Larry. There's a lot going on. So if you're
going to
Galaxy
make
fan,
an appearance at every one of them.
I'm going to not be there. No,
okay.
I have my son will probably not make sure that I don't make that happen.
Well, I don't know if it's your son
or my wife
or Mrs. Podcast. Yes, I would lean to the latter very heavily.
We've told you about the LA Galaxy's weekly schedule before. We'll just sort of highlight it again. The Galaxy will depart on Friday after probably a light training session in the morning. Probably more of a walkthrough than anything else, but they'll do that, and then they depart to Houston. Where they'll arrive probably late in the afternoon / early evening.
And Panda will be there.
And Kevin Baxter will be there. So we'll be sure to have everybody on Monday, and we can hear all about the travel and how that went. And then Saturday, it's BBVA Stadium, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Time kickoff, the LA Galaxy at Houston Dynamo. One of the things I certainly wanted to get to before we get too far away from this, Larry, is, you look at this preseason, all right, and you say, what did we learn from this preseason, or who stood out from this preseason? I mean, you have to take these things and understand what you're trying to see, and you have to understand that they're playing against preseason opponents, which means it's not always MLS in-season moments, but they're higher level. The Galaxy played all 3 of their games, or 4 of their games, all against MLS opponents, so no lower leagues, because usually that can skew results, and certainly can. So you got to watch that. But I mean, what do you take? Who impressed you this offseason? If I told you to give me three players, who impressed you this offseason or this preseason?
Well, in order from 3 to 1, number 3 for me was Nick DePuy, and that is the correct pronunciation of his name. And here's a guy, a central defender, came out of nowhere, which is kind of tough for a guy who's 6'5", and the Corona native. Thank you, chat room, for the last time when I couldn't
remember where he's from.
Yep,
I know.
Has who took the place of an injured Dan Steres, and we still don't know the exact injury Steres suffered. And he's played very, very well next to Giancarlo Gonzalez. I would expect Nick DePuy will be starting in central defense on Saturday, and I think he's more than up to the task. He's my number 3 standout in preseason so far.
Yeah, he's been good. To me, the only one I would sort of change in that, and I agree on all 3, so I'll sort of give you like a 4th or somebody else who I was really impressed with. I'll give you 2 other ones that I was impressed with. Not necessarily in order, but
sure.
But 2. Rolf Felcher, for me, in the game that he played against Chicago, was very impressive.
Yes.
I don't know who
He looks faster.
I don't know who Rolf Felcher thinks he is. But he looked dangerous. He looked competent. He looked like a guy who could really make a difference on the right-hand side.
Still has to work on his crosses, though, but those are getting better.
Those are getting better. So, there's something like that. I think
Are we in a nightclub or something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I forgot to turn the lights back on,
okay.
So it's okay. Everybody will survive for us.
I expect to hear music in the background with all these lights changing.
Yeah, it
like,
is.
Like a crystal ball up in the ceiling.
It is. I'll go get you your champagne, right?
Okay.
You want bottle service, I'm sure.
Sure.
So that was so Rolf Felcher's one, and the other one for me is Kai Koreniuk, and I've talked about him, and I told you that the Galaxy may or may not sign him, but for me, at a position the LA Galaxy are thin at winger, it's one of those guys who I might think about putting on my team, and I think he's been impressive in all of his appearances that he's come in. So, but Nick DePuy has been solid. I was talking to somebody and I said, you almost forgot he was there in that Chicago game, which is exactly what you should see from a center back.
It's just like you don't like to see a referee take over a game. You want the referee to be invisible. Depew has been that way too. He's been very solid.
He's been very solid. Steps up when he needs to, is physical. He bodied Josie Altidore in the Toronto game. That was a great performance by him. If you saw that in a regular season game, you would sit there and you might think of him maybe as a man of the match appearance with what he was able to do against Josie Altidore. And granted, again, we understand it's preseason. It's preseason Josie Altidore, and Josie Altidore is like, I'm not going 100% right now because I don't need to get injured.
But still, Josie Altidore is Josie Altidore. So, he's no slouch. He's still going to give some kind of effort, and Nick Depew is right there with him.
Yeah, he is. So just some guys who have sort of impressed. So that's what you're going to look for. Can they continue to impress? Because there's a good chance that they could be relying on somebody like Nick Depew coming up against Houston. We'll talk about that. I love teasing every time I give just a little bit. By the time we get to the end of the show, there won't be any more to talk about in this Houston Dynamo game, that's for sure. So it's another thing that you sort of just watch. And remember, I think it's important to note, Larry, is that this is not a finished product for this team, and you don't expect this team to be the same team that enters the playoff stretch down the run. But Insua has been
my number 2 guy, Emiliano Insua.
He's fun to watch so far, and we've seen him in one game, and it wasn't even a full 90 minutes.
It looks like, certainly creating a good first impression, but if he continues to play like he has been, it looks like the Galaxy have their answer at a definite back. Weakness on the field, left back.
Yeah, it is. It could be a very big thing to sort of watch. So,
and my number 1 guy.
Yeah.
We both agree. Christian Pavone has looked fantastic.
Somebody in the chat room says that you can't count Pavone because he's a soccer god. So that doesn't even count because he's on a different level than everybody else, which is true, by the way. He is on a different level.
He has looked tremendous feet and just quickness, and just he looks like he's ready to challenge for the league MVP award.
My one precautionary tale that I would say about him, and it's nothing there. It's that he seemed like he was going 100 miles an hour against preseason MLS.
Sure.
And what happens whenever these guys start getting a lot more physical and whenever they start picking up the intensity? Can he still do what he did? Which, by the way, I think he can. But it's just one of those things to sort of keep your watch on with Pavone is how effective can he be? And does he play, who had this problem all the time was Ramon Alessandrini. Does he play too hard, too often, and he leaves himself not being able to play consistently throughout the season? Is he up and down?
Let's just hope he stays healthy.
That's it. That's a huge deal as well. So I was going through just sort of MLS sends out packets every week, and you sort of get to see what is going on in terms of what storylines they're highlighting and different things.
How much blue paper do you use a week?
A lot. Everybody goes, why don't you just put it on your computer? And it's just sometimes you need something in your hand.
Yes,
and that's why. And we talked about it, by the way.
You need hard copy, yes.
This was a question that actually got asked before our live show as we did Q&A as we were waiting for weather systems to pass and lightning clearances to go. But somebody goes, why do you have blue paper? And there's one simple reason that I have blue paper. And if you've never watched the show on YouTube, you're like, he has blue paper, I never knew. But I have blue paper because blue doesn't throw off the white balance as much as white paper does. And so that's why. White paper on a camera, especially in some brighter lights,
and you probably got a much better price on blue paper.
No, it's more expensive. Don't you know it's special? Everybody has white paper. Josh trying to get blue paper, and I could have pink or neon yellow, so I went with blue. I thought it was a good choice. So anyway, that's what it is.
Green.
But I went over MLS's, sort of just list of things, and it's funny because they always sort of show different things, and they're trying to highlight MLS, but I thought this was interesting. The leading goal scorers worldwide in 2019 calendar year. There are a bunch. There are actually 3, and I think the top 15 that play in Major League Soccer. Carlos Vela over LAFC had 34 goals. Zlatan Ibrahimovic had 30 goals. And Joseph Martinez had 27. And so the top goal scorer is somebody who I would never, ever be able to. It's Hamdallah at Al Nassr FC. And he had 35 goals. And then you had Messi with 34 goals, Vela with 34, Mbappe with 31, Sorga, which I believe actually transferred in to Major League Soccer now, had 31 goals. You had Lewandowski with 31 goals, Zlatan Ibrahimovic with 30. I just thought it was interesting.
Can you pronounce that first name again?
Which one?
The first name, the top guy?
No, I'm just...
I don't blame you. No, don't try.
Abdurazak?
Sounds like somebody from Saudi Arabia or maybe or the Middle East.
I think it's Saudi Arabia. It's Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Yeah. It's Al Nassr FC. But it's Abdurazak Amdala. That's what I'm going to go with. Okay.
Yikes.
My name pronunciations. It takes me like months to figure out names in the shower.
I wouldn't even try that name. I'm glad you did.
DC United carry a record shutout streak into the new season. Now, you say, Josh, why do we care about DC United? And I tell you, you're right. You shouldn't care about DC United, except that whenever they put the list of record consecutive minutes without allowing a goal, the LA Galaxy pop up on the list, and that's why I wanted to do it. The LA Galaxy sit third all-time with consecutive minutes without allowing a goal, and it was in the 2009 to 2010 season. So 2009 season to 2010, 612 total minutes of shutout soccer. The Houston Dynamo, actually, from 6/10/2007 to 7/22/2007, had 727 minutes, and DC United sitting at 504. The LA Galaxy actually appear on this list twice, and from 2006, from June of 2006 to July of 2006, the LA Galaxy had 521 minutes of shutout soccer.
How many minutes was the number one?
727 for the Houston.
How long
That's a long time.
That's like 8 matches.
But when you look at this and sort of say, okay, when was the most recent one? Atlanta United has the most recent in 2019 with 521 minutes. Columbus had one in 2018 with 512 minutes, and DC United's streak is current, so 504 minutes as they rock and roll. So anyway,
that's almost 6 matches. That's still a long time.
It's a long time. It always is. So I just wanted to sort of highlight some of that stuff as I pulled it out,
cool.
and you can sort of do with that what you will. That's
thank
fine.
you for the information.
You're welcome. But the LA Galaxy and people on the podcast know I've brought this up before. The LA Galaxy pop up on most of the lists that they throw out, so it's always fun.
Even the list you don't want to throw out.
Absolutely. So we'll
especially when it comes to defense. Oh boy.
Yep, that's right. All right, so we continue now, and why don't we get to some questions before we get too much further? I don't want to go completely off the rails. Actually, before we even get to questions,
just as long as you don't get too personal.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to say, don't worry. Nobody wants to know anything
just
about
soccer related. Okay, that's good.
Before we even get to the questions, let me remind everybody in the middle of the show instead of at the beginning or at the end. Why not? If you're in the middle of the show, you're here. We do have a Corner of the Galaxy T-shirt right now up for sale. It is our top 50. We have the top 50 cities and the top 50 countries that listen to Corner of the Galaxy. Go to cornerofthegalaxy.com, click on shop. Shirts are about $20. I get $5 of that, and so that'll go into the COG slush fund so we can provide Larry with lunches. And,
how many have you sold so far?
We were about 20, almost 30, I think.
That's good.
Something like
that's
that.
Good. Very
it's
good.
close.
I mean, but they haven't been available very long, so that's good. It's a good start.
You have until March 11th to order those. So what happens is you order, they put them in one batch, and then they print them all at once, and that sort of is. These are all guaranteed to print, so $20 plus the shipping. And I don't handle any of this. It's great. Somebody else handles all of this, including the shipping, and I'll eventually just get my shirts. So far, I've purchased enough shirts, or people have purchased enough shirts to pay for my 2 shirts that I ordered. So, that's
very
always good. No,
good.
We're well past that.
Excellent.
The other thing I wanted to highlight, of course, is our band here, our COG band of podcast hosts. We have all of our cartoons.
Our band of outcasts?
Yeah. Our Oscar Rosales did a great job of drawing everybody else. We had Eric and I last year, and we added Sophie and Larry and Kevin to it. And so we have.
I like Kevin's short and squat and gray hair and gray beard.
It's
I
perfect.
like Kevin's, and Sophie's still the best.
In Man City colors, right?
Man
and
City
you have your
colors.
little Twitter it says Larry Morgan not on Twitter.
And I'm a full head above everybody else.
You are. That height thing was important, so we made sure that happened for you. Cornerofthegalaxy.com, click on the shop button. You'll see those stickers there. So get those if you want. And if not, that's fine too. I love the stickers. I think they're fun.
Eric handed out a lot of his hammer stickers at the show over the weekend.
He did well with his little hammers. And I actually have some patos as well that I might put up for sale. So we'll see if we have those as well. Now, before we get to questions, I have to touch on one more thing that I wanted to talk about. And Chicharito is getting to be quite the fan of the LA Lakers, as at Laker games and in those AEG sideline seats very often. And so he was there with his wife, Sarah, and the one big thing that was sort of highlighted more than anything else here, Larry, was Chicharito's shirt. Which, by the way, from one picture that the Lakers took, I think, of him on it's a side profile, so it looks like he just has a Hawaiian shirt on. But then whenever you see the actual picture, it's like a half and half shirt. Now, the Galaxy came out and tweeted and said it's called Fashion Honey.
It looks like it looks like the family dog tore 2 shirts apart, and they stitched together the halves that they could salvage. I mean, you should see this thing.
Oh, man.
You should see this thing.
It's crazy. Now, Amelia Lopez, who's one of the reporters up in the press box, who is a good friend of the show. I've known Amelia for a long time. She had the best tweet about it, though. And she said, no one's ever gone full LA like this so quickly, right? And I thought that was classic. So that was good stuff. I just thought it was funny.
I liked his wife's boots, too.
Hey, she has great style. I'm not worried about her, okay? Sometimes I wonder.
He will not make Mr. Blackwell's list wearing that shirt.
All right, let's get to the questions now. I went off to my favorite friends over at LA Galaxy Reddit, and I said, hey, give me some questions you guys want us to ask or want us to answer, and I will try to get through as many of them as possible. And then as soon as we're done with this, we'll give you that injury update, and we'll get you ready for the Houston Dynamo. So let's start. Galaxy Fan 89 on Reddit said, reports are that a decision on Pavon's purchase needs to be made by July. Some reports are at $20 million, while Baxter reports via Dennis DeClosa the price is less. If the purchase of Pavon goes through, the Galaxy would have to negotiate salary as well as length of contract. So my question is, at $17 million, which is, I think, a good guess, that's just me adding, $17 million, how long would the length of Pavon's new contract have to be to make the purchase price worth it? And if Pavon is unwilling to extend past this season for European aspirations, is it worth it to purchase him anyways if it looks like we have a chance for the title come summertime?
I'd say it'll have to be at least a 3-year contract.
I think 3 years is probably pretty good.
If Jonathan Dos Santos can sign a multi-year contract, I think he signed a 5-year deal. It's got to be at least 3 years, and I would lean more heavily towards 4 years.
I think that 5 years is the max contract you can sign anyway.
Max,
so,
okay.
So 3 years sounds reasonable. Here's the thing, though. If you're signing Pavon and you're doing it with that amount of money, you're thinking to yourself that you're going to sell him and you're going to make money on the back end. So if you're going to send, so in my mind, the length of contract doesn't matter. Even if it's for 1 year and you pay him $17 million, you just have to understand that you're going to be leaning heavily on the fact that you're going to sell him and that he's going to go to Europe and you're going to get $40 or $50 million for him. And whenever that happens, is you get you get your money back.
Yeah, I mean, I said this before. After watching him play last year when he was tremendous and watching him in the preseason, he looks even better. I've said this before. I'll say it again. My humble opinion, you tell Boca Juniors, here's a blank check. You write the figure you want on that check, and we'll accept
it. Yeah, I mean, there is some of that.
As long as there are not more than 6 zeros.
Yes. No, listen, I think it'll happen. I don't know about the validity of these reports that say July 1st. I haven't been told that those are accurate. We know the $20 million number, at least according to Dennis, is not accurate. So if you're leaning on that number, I'm already questioning sort of the report, but we'll pretend that that's all true.
I'd say it's got to be $15 million. If I had to guess.
I think it's between 10 and 15 million. So 15? I think 12, 13, 14, 15, those are probably good guesses. It'll be 19.5 million. It's well less than 20 million.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. Let's go to Esteban B65, and he says, what is the health status of Steres, Jonathan Dos Santos, and what has been uncovered about Katai's fitness? Now, it's interesting. We'll talk about the injury report. Let's do that now instead of doing it later. We'll just throw it right into all this. As we talk about the injuries and the injury report, what we have 4 injuries I think that we know of. We know Jonathan Dos Santos with the groin. We know Dan Steres is injured, but unspecified what it is. Efrain Alvarez with his ankle, and we know
Efrain will be out at least several months.
Well, we don't know that. Okay, now here's the thing. I understand where you're coming from.
Ligament damage, a high ankle sprain, ligament damage. He's got to be out at least 2 months.
I understand where you're coming from, but I will say the same thing that I said to Kevin whenever Kevin said Alan Franco was coming, which is, just be cautious with it, and let's see where it ends.
Be patient.
You could be 100% right.
True.
But anyway, so that's Efrain.
Now, how often have I been wrong on injuries?
A lot.
A lot?
I'm sure. Well, there's nobody's keeping track, so I can say a lot and be right, I'm sure.
Okay.
And then Danilo Acosta has the ACL surgery. We don't know that Katai is injured, but we do feel that there is a fitness issue of some sort because he's been getting pulled out of games. Now, I don't think that affects anything on Saturday. I think they play him, and he goes 80 minutes, 90 minutes. He could probably play the whole game on Saturday, but it seems like they have been cautious with him
very careful
leading up to it. Jonathan Dos Santos is ruled out for this weekend by Guillermo Barros-Schelotto. Larry, you told me that. So if it's wrong, I'll blame you. But I know everybody reported it as well.
I'm very, very rarely wrong.
This is true. So Jonathan Dos Santos out for this weekend, which is probably smart, even though he is back to full training with the LA Galaxy.
And so is Steres.
And so is Steres. Steres is unknown whether about his status.
I tried to talk to Steres today, but a member of the Galaxy staff, who shall go nameless, and we both know, did not permit me to talk to him. I I just want to know, is he good to go? Is he ready to play? And the answer was, he's back at full training.
He's back at full training, and you didn't get to talk to him.
I said, I just want to talk to him. He's back at full training.
And you didn't get to talk to him, which
him.
indicates to you and to me that Dan Steres probably isn't playing this weekend either. But that's one of those things where you sit there as a club, and I know why they do it, is they consider it a competitive advantage thing. So they're trying to keep people guessing.
Was huge. Bruce Arena hated talking about injuries.
Yep. I don't know. It is what it is.
So Nick Depew, look for Nick Depew to start in central defense.
I think that's the case. We already talked about Efrain Alvarez. We talked about Danilo Acosta. So, I think that sort of answers the question. One of the things Esteban said was, why not reach out to Drini, Ramon Alessandrini, build a contract based on incentives? One, they probably don't have the money. Two, Alessandrini probably doesn't want to take the pay cut that they're wanting to offer. And I'm talking about a gigantic, huge pay cut that would probably be paying Ramon Alessandrini somewhere between $300,000 and $700,000, or probably
that's
less than that.
That's just a fraction of what he made.
And it's a fraction.
And I wouldn't accept it either.
And I don't blame him. And and the Galaxy may not even offered it, knowing that that's how much it was going to be, because they know. Esteban also asked why they didn't go after Bradley Wright Phillips as LAFC did and then landed them. I would imagine it's probably a salary cap issue more than anything else. That seems to be sort of the case.
Well, plus it might be the case, too, that LAFC might have been the first team to contact them. And a lot of athletes, college, pros, like to do business with the first team that pursued him.
Yeah, it very well could be. Let's see. Kiki NJ17 says, do you think the game is going to start at 12:30 or 1 p.m.? I know last year some games said a time, but actually we're 30 minutes later because of TV pregame. I work at 2:30 p.m., so I'm hoping it starts exactly at 12:30.
I'd say closer to 12:45.
That seems like 12. At the very earliest, it would be at 12:37.
Although it's not an ESPN game, so maybe there won't be as much pregame frivolity.
But it's Univision, and they have Chicharito to talk about.
True.
So it could be a 12:51 kickoff whenever you get to that.
Just tune in at 12:30.
I would say 12:30. Unfortunately, I don't know that you're going to get to watch the whole game before you have to go to work. Let's see. This is from DS Now 04, says, most of the concern coming into this season was our defense, and rightfully so. However, I believe our offense is looking a little weak in terms of depth. Yes, I understand some parts are interchangeable, and you'd hope that our three up top wouldn't miss time all at the same time, but where's our depth up top? Zubac, Wild, where's our change of pace guys coming off the bench? Think Fabio Alvarez, Oriol Antuna, even Boateng. Thoughts, concerns? I think we've talked. Here's the thing, and there's a rotational thing that can happen, so if you're thinking about depth up top, you could put Pavone up top, and you could slide Leggett out wide, and he could play either wing, and now all of a sudden you have a Perry Kitchen comes into the middle, and you have a perfectly serviceable lineup. So I think you can handle one or two injuries in that way of rotating, but you're right, there's not a like for like, and you certainly don't have the backup striker in terms of experience with Zubac and Wild that you would want.
Right, and will there be anybody scoring the amount of goals Latan scored last year? Chances are probably not.
No,
but I think they'll be fine with Pavone and Chicharito handling most of the scoring duties. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be more dangerous than just everything feeding into Zlatan and crosses from all over the field.
But
I think they'll be a lot more dangerous.
But here's where I agree with this too, is that I talked about it. I said this team isn't as talented, and he hits at it. Where the Fabio Alvarez, Oriol Antuna, even the Ima Boateng, and he talks about changes of pace. It's not as talented as it was last year, but I think it's going to be a better team, and that may mean better results. It may mean worse results. But we're going to have to see. I think that the attacking core up front is going to score a lot of goals. Do they score a lot of goals starting off right away? I don't know. But is that attacking front capable of scoring 6 goals in a game? Absolutely. Give 2 to everybody and call it a day? Yeah.
Sure.
So that could happen. Okay, so let's go to Danger TRL. And Danger says...
Danger TRL.
Yes.
Total Request Live?
Yeah, I was going to go old MTV restrooms. I have a feeling that's not it. Seems Dennis DeClosa is keeping true to his promise of creating a pathway from the academy to the first team. Are the academy and G2 teaching the GBS system? Can we both be a selling team that develops young players while also being a buying team that builds their starting lineup on experienced international talent? As far as the academy, they are teaching systems all throughout and should have a pretty focused curriculum from the academy all the way up into LA Galaxy 2 and into Guillermo. Now, it might not be the exact same system, but the interchanges and the way that, the general philosophy of the club should be resulted all the way through. I haven't been down to the academy in a while, and I haven't seen a lot, so it's one of those things that's on my list to sort of talk to some of those guys and find out exactly what's going on. But it's something you could. It's a good question to ask.
Well, just think of all the guys who've been brought up and signed the contracts since this new regime took over. There was a time not too long ago when very, very few players were brought up from Galaxy 2 or the academy. I mean, since Teclosa and Scalotto, they came aboard. It's great. Just finally giving some of these young, talented guys a chance.
Yeah, and by the way, you can be a selling team that develops young players while also be a buying team. It just, you do it positionally. I think that's where it struggles a little bit, which is that the Galaxy are going to go out and get big-name players to be their offensive players. So what are you doing with the offensive talent you have at the lower levels and sort of how that comes up? So I just think that's the big question. How do you fix that paradox? Because you can't be both. And I think we've seen that you can't be both. Here's one from the Bully 77.
The Bully?
Yeah, this is good. What would your screen name be on Reddit, Larry? Larry Morgan is on Reddit? All right.
Sir Larry Morgan.
That's Sir Larry Morgan Esquire? Yes.
Larry Morgan Esquire. That sounds good.
Yeah, I figured you'd like that one. Once Stairs is back on the team, this is from the Bully 77. Once Stairs is back on the team, does GBS sit Depew or Peepo? Ooh.
Oh man, good question. I might be in the minority on this, but I don't think Gonzalez has looked that bad in preseason. There's a protocol that starters do not lose their starting positions because of injuries. So I think Stairs will start alongside Gonzalez, and Depew will go to the bench. That's just the way it's been since I've been covering sports for who knows how long. I think Depew goes to the bench, even though Depew has been very, very good. I don't think Gonzalez has been that bad. I know a lot of people might not agree, but I don't think he's been that bad.
That's we're going to go back to Danger TRL. He has another question. I thought it was good.
Okay.
He says, with increased LA Galaxy coverage by Mexican media combined with his performance at the U17 World Cup, what are the expectations for Efrain Alvarez? And he says that they've been really high among Mexican fans. Assuming he is healthy, where does Efrain Alvarez fit on this team? Is loaning him out an option? Or maybe trying him at a different position.
It's going to be very interesting to see how he recovers from this ankle injury. Will it set him back? Time will tell. He certainly showed flashes of brilliance when he first came on the scene last year. I'm going to be very curious to see how he reacts. He's certainly an unfinished product. Scalotto and Teclosa really tried to protect him last year because of his age. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens to him.
Yeah.
He certainly has the talent to be a very good player, but will he be a quick healer? Will he be a slow healer? Will he get lost in the shuffle? Who knows?
Can I be? I'll be honest. Let me be honest for a second.
When are you not?
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I get sideways. This is going to be me being honest. I don't know that he has a place on this team right now. When you look at what position he'd be playing, he'd be coming in for Sebastian Lletget, which is fine. But in what position are you going to take Sebastian Lletget out for Efrain Alvarez? If it's late in the game, you're asking a young kid to sort of produce. And as we've seen, he has absolute moments of brilliance, and nobody can deny that. And I think we've seen that.
Tremendous left foot, too.
Tremendous left foot. And when he's playing against kids his age or his age group or even one age group up, he seems to have the ability to do things that most people can't. But what we've seen in Major League Soccer is that hasn't translated so far. And in fact, with a few exceptions, he's disappeared from games. So this has to be a growing year for him. I'm not sure this is the make or break year for him. And clearly with the injury, it's certainly not starting out well. But in my mind, he gets some more first team minutes. He trains with the first team. He fights for that spot. He may get some cleanup minutes here and there. And if he proves himself and does things in those cleanup minutes, he'll earn himself more minutes. But if he doesn't, he goes back to the offseason this year, and he knows that he has to make a real impact the next year. And I don't think that's not being fair to him. But if you've seen something from him in MLS that I haven't seen, like I said, there's moments of brilliance, absolutely. But there's also moments of you need a game changer, and he's been put in to change the game, and instead he's disappeared. It's like the Galaxy are playing with 10 players out there. So
Zlatan raved about him one time.
He did, and I understand.
But that was early on. So
in my mind right now, the more finished product, and he's only a year older, is Julian Araujo. And Araujo has a real chance to make an impact on this team this year.
He's looked excellent, too, in preseason.
He has a chance
He looks like a man this year.
He does, and he looks like he has a chance to push Rolf Felcher off the starting block. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. So, again, For me, I'm not as high on Efrain Alvarez this season as maybe I have been in previous seasons, especially not seeing what he's done in Major League Soccer. But that doesn't mean that he can't make a contribution and that he won't make a contribution. So that's sort of where we're at right now with those questions. And thank you, Reddit community. The Redditors are always very good at asking questions.
Thank you, Redditors. Very good questions. Very good.
They're on top of things. I like
it.
It's a little easier for me to gather than some of the other ones on Twitter and that type of thing. Rumor update here real quick for you because there's not much to talk about. Alan Franco, he did play
Are these rumors ever going to go away?
No. Well, I don't know. This one might die. It seems like it's certainly circling the drain at the moment. So Alan Franco played with Independiente today. They ended up losing the game, but actually advanced in the Sudamericano, the South American tournament, which is not good news for the LA Galaxy. Had they have gotten knocked out, there may have been better news for the Galaxy. But I don't know. Dennis sort of seems to maybe have even parked this one. This may be a summer signing now instead of it being coming right now, which is, I think, unfortunate. But that doesn't mean that Dennis won't go out and try something else. He may, abandon this Franco deal altogether. But for me, we were at 4 stars before. I would throttle that back. I'm not allowed to do half stars because I refuse to make graphics for half stars. But for me, it's like 2.5 stars.
2.5 stars? I was going to say 3 stars, but yeah. 2.5. Okay. Okay.
It's not horrible. It's still there.
Would that half star be hand-drawn, or is there a graphic?
It probably would have to be hand-drawn. Eric is doing the Grading the Galaxy thing where he's grading players this year, and so he said, hey, can you make me – he was sort of saying, well, actually, I told him, I'll make the graphics for you, but you have to make a decision. No half stars. So it's either a full star or no stars. So I'm not doing half stars and creating all that stuff. And so he's like, okay. So people are already like, where's the half star, man? Couldn't you get 3.5 stars? No. Are there half stars above the LA Galaxy's crest?
Stand firm
no.
on that.
No, make a decision.
Yeah,
make a decision.
Firm.
All right. The other rumor that was out there was Jurgen Damm to the LA Galaxy from Liga MX. Right now, it seems
not to be confused with Yella Van Damme.
Correct, different guy. Jurgen Damm, Mexican international. He had some caps. I think he's capped 12 times for the Mexican national team. Right now, the rumor is that he had signed a pre-contract with MLS to join a club in the summer, and the LA Galaxy and Houston were one of those teams. Well, Atlanta was also one of those teams, and apparently the update is that Atlanta is the front runner for him right now.
I was just going to say that, yes.
So apparently the contract's already done. If I had some good league contacts, we could figure out what it is, but I don't, so you don't have to worry about that at all. So that's sort of the rumors. You have your injury updates. You have all of your stuff that sort of happened. So now I think there's only one thing we can do, which is get ready for the Houston game.
Oh, that's right, the Houston game.
That's right.
That's right. They're playing.
There's
that's right.
There's actual games to talk about. Now, I know people were excited that the live show that Eric got to do a dramatic intro, which was fun to see, right? Everybody enjoyed that. So Larry Morgan says that he's totally prepared to do a dramatic.
Well, not totally prepared, but I can at least give it a shot.
You're gonna try. Right? You said you were going to try, right? That's what you were.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm getting kind of queasy about it. I don't know. I think let's let Eric do all the dramatic intros.
There's no way that I can sit here and do one as good as Eric. I'm going to be honest with that. Okay.
True. Let's don't even try.
I can give you something. I can have dramatic music play.
All I know is they're playing at Alphabet Park, otherwise known as BBVA Stadium.
Yes, that is correct. It is at BBVA Stadium. By the way, did you hear the new anthem, the MLS anthem?
I did.
What did you think of? Now,
when I heard it was by
Hans Zimmer.
I thought this guy was the same guy who used to play in the jazz fusion group, the Mahavishnu Orchestra, but it wasn't. That was somebody else. I heard it. I've never been a big fan of the anthem anyway.
Right.
Kind of corny.
Right.
But, this is...
This is pure Hans Zimmer. This is like if you distilled Hans Zimmer down to a single drop of Hans Zimmer. This is what you would get if you got it. He's Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
He is Inception.
Well, at least it's not kazoos.
There's a Netflix documentary about movie composers in the modern day and going back, so it talks a little bit about it. But they obviously talk about Hans Zimmer, and I always remember the one thing they said about Hans Zimmer is that he's the rock star of composers. It's totally true in terms of what he puts together. I like it because I love Hans Zimmer, and I like how it sort of, people go, that's going to sound stupid. I think it's going to be great, just sort of building up. I would play it for everybody so they could hear it, but everybody knows MLS would file a copyright claim on me immediately, so we're not going to do that.
Well, can you hum it?
I will not. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I don't know how to hum some synthy strings.
Some synthesizer strings.
Yeah, listen. It's at home in the club as
Okay.
much as it could be at the sporting park or anywhere else. It's everything.
But as far as those dramatic intros we were talking about, Eric, that's your domain. We entrust that over to you. I will not infringe upon your territory. You can do those.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, fine.
Oh, no.
The LA Galaxy will take on the Houston Dynamo coming up on Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. The game can be found on UNIVISION. It's a deja vu for the LA Galaxy, who will play technically back-to-back games against the Houston Dynamo. They finished the regular season with them, and now they will go and start the regular season of 2020 with them. The Galaxy are 13-8-3 in season openers all time, and 7-9-8 in road openers, meaning that it's going to be a tough hill to climb against Tab Ramos and the Houston Dynamo. Can the Galaxy travel to Houston, a place they have not had very much luck? In fact, they do not have a winning record against them. Overall, 11-12-7, and outscored 42-39 all time against the Houston Dynamo, and outscored 26-20 in a 5-8-3 record at BBVA at Houston.
If there's one thing the Galaxy's favor, as you said earlier, Josh, they're not playing there in the summer.
So now that you interrupted my
Sorry.
dramatic use,
I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, basically
I
done.
apologize.
People are going to get angry anyway.
Okay.
I can't do it as good as Eric does. So anyway,
you did a pretty darn good job.
that's what I got right now. You know, so you could have finished it with something like, can the LA Galaxy get the big victory to kick off 2020? We'll find out on Saturday. LA Galaxy versus the Houston Dynamo. All right, that was it.
Nice.
That-
Nice, quick, succinct,
that was-
effective, excellent.
All right, let's talk about this game.
Okay.
Now
that's right. There is a game. That's right.
There is an actual game. As we sort of talked about, you know, Houston finished 10th in the Western Conference in 29. The LA Galaxy finished 5th. 10-3-4 season last year for the Houston Dynamo. Very up and down. You know, and that was a 10-3-4 season at home, I should say, at home for the Houston Dynamo. So as we talked about, I remember the end of last year, it was sort of Houston's going to be a tough place to play because they're good at home. They've always been good at home. And as a matter of fact, Houston has a ridiculous record right now in their last 8 home openers. They're 6-0-2 since 2012.
Now, my question about this game is I can't remember the last time the Galaxy played Houston this early in the season. Usually when they have, it's been in the summer, and 140 degrees, like 200% humidity, and both teams struggle up and down the field. I can't remember them playing at Houston this early in the season. I just can't remember the last time they played at this time of the year, which is, I think, certainly can help the Galaxy.
Yeah, it can. Right now, if we're looking at the weather, a 2:30 p.m. Kickoff time in Houston for this game. It's supposed to be 75 degrees and about 27% humidity.
That's awesome. Perfect conditions.
Yeah, so a little bit of wind south at 12 miles an hour. It increases a little bit during the game, south at 13 miles per hour. It's sunny, so it will be warm, but 75 degrees is much better than, like you said, 104 degrees and everything else.
And some writers were talking today about round-trip airfare to Houston out of LAX is dirt cheap.
So there, everybody can go last minute.
Anybody interested in
right?
going, it might be a good time to hop on a plane and fly out there.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about 538, and as you know on this podcast, we're big fans of 538 and what they do, and sort of gives you a good idea of what to look for. I
thought it was 8 o'clock, not 5:38.
Yeah, 538.com, and you have to spell it out if you want to go there, does do basically match predictions on these, and it always gives us at least something to talk about, so we like to do it. Now, I promised Eric, because Eric's going to be back next week, I promised him we wouldn't do a full Western Conference recap, that we could look at 538 stuff, but what we can do is look at this game. And right now, the Houston Dynamo are favored to win this game. They're 44% to win. The LA Galaxy are 36% to win, and there's a 21% chance at a draw. Now, here's the thing. You look at that and say, okay, if you think the Galaxy are going to win this game, then, how come they're the underdog on the road? Well, most teams are underdogs on the road. In fact, out of all the games, 13 games being played, 26 total teams, out of all the games, only 2 home teams are home underdogs. Nashville is a 30% chance to win against Atlanta's 45%, that game being played in Nashville. And the other one is Sporting Kansas City being 40% favored to win over Vancouver's 36%. That game is at Vancouver. And I'll tell you,
I would take Vancouver any day of the year.
I said that's what I would. That field this time, take Vancouver.
Sorry to beat you to it.
No, it is. But here's the thing is you might want to watch that game as well. That's a 7:30 p.m. kickoff time on ESPN+. Vancouver will host Sporting Kansas City because, of course, the LA Galaxy play Vancouver next week. So it's something to watch. As Eric and I were discussing via text message today, he says 538 does not like Vancouver this year. So understand where they're sort of coming from and the players they have. So, again, 36% for Vancouver and 40%. The LA Galaxy, 36% chance to win, which is one of the higher road teams' chances of winning, to Houston's 44%.
I see the Galaxy winning this game 2-1.
2-1. I would say this game screams draw all over it, but everybody knows Guillermo Barros-Schelotto does not draw. No, he does not. He tries to win, and when he doesn't win, he loses.
That's right.
And so those are the only two acceptable answers.
Bruce Arena would love a draw.
Oh, absolutely. He would take a draw in a heartbeat. And I think if you're missing Jonathan Dos Santos, if you're missing Daniel Steres, you sort of have to sit there and say, okay, does it make sense that maybe a draw and a point away from – it's a point stolen on the road. Why not take a point?
Okay, in your humble expert opinion, who starts in place of Jonathan Dos Santos?
I think you're going to see a midfield of Sebastian Lletget. I think you're going to see Sasha Kljestan, and it's going to be one of either Corona or Perry Kitchen. And I think
Perry Kitchen is going to start.
Okay, so you think Perry Kitchen? I will say Joe Corona might start, but I actually
Perry Kitchen has looked very good in preseason too.
He has looked solid.
Yeah,
that's for sure. So anyway, that's sort of where we sit on this game. Houston has a new head coach. I talked about it in that really horrible, awful preview. Tab
Wasn't
Ramos.
That awful? Wasn't that awful?
It was mediocre.
Oh, it was all right.
Having not written anything out like Eric does,
more than acceptable.
That's it wasn't bad. But Tab Ramos is the new head coach. They have Mauro Manotas, Albert Elise, and then Darwin Quintero came over from Minnesota.
Very good player. Very dangerous.
They have a former Croatian youth international, Marko Maric, and could also be their number one goalkeeper. So just sort of keep an eye on Houston. They're missing guys like AJ De La Garza. They're missing guys like DeMarcus Beasley, who were such a stalwart for them over the last couple of years. So this is an adjustment here for Houston. It's certainly an adjustment here.
Speaking of AJ, where is he now?
Miami.
Okay.
Yeah, with David Beckham.
Inter Miami, which is playing in Fort Lauderdale.
With David Beckham.
That's
right. New York, by the way, I was just looking at the 538 stats. The most lopsided one I can see is the New York Red Bulls are facing off against FC Cincinnati, who doesn't have a head coach because he said racist things.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I know. Good times. 79% chance of winning at home over FC Cincinnati, who has a 7% chance of winning.
Wow.
The other lopsided one is the Noisy Neighbors are hosting Inter Miami, and Inter Miami has just a 16% chance to win over a 66% chance to win at home for LAFC. So those are sort of the outliers there in
the lopsided.
The
Noisy Neighbors. That's a very good description.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Very good.
All right, so you said 2-1 for the LA Galaxy.
LA Galaxy.
I think, and remember, they don't draw. That's not in Guillermo's category. It doesn't happen. So in my mind, this is a 2-2 draw.
2-2, huh?
Yeah. Remember, and by the way,
fairly high scoring. Okay.
I preface that by saying that the LA Galaxy don't draw. But they're going to draw this game 2-2. It'll be on accident. They might have to come back late in order to score a goal in order for it to be a draw. So it's still.
I think they would accept a draw very, very readily. I think they would be happy with a draw.
They probably wouldn't even go over to Houston if they said you could just have a draw right here. And see how that goes. Now, I do want to highlight one more thing, and I apologize.
Will Chicharito score in the opener?
Yes.
I think he will too.
Yeah, I'm not worried about him.
I'm not either. A lot of people are, but
no.
patience, people, patience. This guy is going to be fine.
No, he's fine. But I do want to get to one more thing, and somebody asked me on Reddit if I could highlight the watch parties. And between the Angel City Brigade, the LA Riot Squad, the Galaxians, the Galaxy Outlaws, and all of that part of the Victoria block there, they have put together something like 22 watch parties.
Fantastic.
That are in Los Angeles, by the way.
In and around Los Angeles.
In and around. This is the LA that I know, and that includes Las Vegas.
And that I know too.
Yeah, this is what you're used to seeing whenever we talk about LA and what that LA area is. So Long Beach has the Stash Bar, Hermosa Beach Underground Pub, Lawndale Brooklyn Bar, Montebello El Pescador, Eagle Rock Pub 1954, Torrance Yorkshire Square Brewery, I'm going to keep going. Downtown LA, Tom's Urban. West LA, Rocco's Tavern. Studio City, Fox and Hounds. Southgate, Hops and Barley. Long Beach, Ambitious Ales. Carson, El Pescador. The San Fernando Valley is Springbok Bar and Grill in Van Nuys. French Valley, Pizza Factory. West Covina, Anna's Pizza. Lake Forest, The Pub, 21 Plus. Union Barber and Beer Lounge in Corona. Riverside, Wicks Brewing, Rancho Cucamonga, Diplomat Bar and Grill, Bakersfield, Agave Grill, San Diego, RIP, it's Rip Current Brewing, Tustin at the All Dubliner, not too far from the studio here, Anaheim, Tony's Deli, and Las Vegas, Crown and Anchor Pub in Las Vegas, Nevada.
I wonder how long it would take to go from location to location, make a brief appearance. I wonder how long that would take. Probably about 8 hours.
Well, if you make it to Las
And
Vegas, there's a 5.5
True,
hour drive
yeah,
in there.
yeah.
So
Okay, 13 hours.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's going to take you a little long. So anyway,
Will you be making appearances at any of these locations?
again, no.
Oh, that's right. That's babysitting day.
Yeah,
That's
it's
right.
babysitting day. Saturday is prime babysitting day. Sunday is prime babysitting day. So I'll be doing that. But I encourage you, listen, head to Angel City Brigade, head to LA Riot Squad, go on their social media accounts. They have all this information for you. The Galaxians have it. Victoria Block, Galaxy Outlaws, all that stuff put together. You can find it in multiple places. And I retweet and post on my socials as much as I can, so that way you guys can watch this as well. And I promise sometime this year I will make it out to some watch parties. I'll let you know whenever I do that. And maybe I'll bring the kid with me.
Yeah,
Why not? Right?
yeah.
He can be my designated driver. And
That's right.
He's like almost 3 months old. So we're getting
Very
there.
nice.
We're getting there. All right. Larry, is there anything else that you want to talk about? Because I think we've talked about everything.
Yeah, no, sir. Just anxious to see the season start. I'm glad it's here. I have high hopes for this team. I think it's very talented. I think it's going to do quite well. I'm anxious to see Chicharito score his first goal. People, like I said before, people are kind of wondering when he will score. He will score, people. Give him a break. Give him a chance. He will be fine. Just looking to see what will happen. I think the Galaxy is going to have one of its better years this season. I like a lot about this team. I really do.
It feels more like a team. That's
it
for
does.
sure.
In fact, that's what Dos Santos and Scalotto were talking about today, that this team feels more like a family. Scalotto said last year maybe it was because the coaches were new. It has a much different vibe this year, and I think that portends to a very successful season.
We'll certainly check it out. LA Galaxy at Houston Dynamo coming up on Saturday, February 29th, 12:30 p.m. kickoff time. Game is broadcast on Univision.
And Josh, thanks for having me back as always.
Always great to have you on there. If you're looking for Mr. Larry Morgan,
you can't find me
on Twitter. You can't find him because he's not on Twitter. That's right. That's it. Larry. Why do you ruin my good jokes? I have
Sorry,
good jokes.
I know.
Yeah, that's
I know
absolutely.
it. I know.
All right. If
beat you to the punch.
That's right. Larry does have some great articles up on cornerofthegalaxy.com, so check that out. He has a good little game preview in the Galaxy Notebook. So you're all there, right there, cornerofthegalaxy.com. All right. Thanks, Larry. All right, if you're looking for me on Twitter, it's at jguesman, JGUESMAN, and of course at Galaxy Podcast. Head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com for our t-shirts, for our stickers, for our stories, for our podcasts, for our videos. All that stuff can be found right there, cornerofthegalaxy.com. All right, for Mr. Larry Morgan, not on Twitter, I'm Josh Guesman, and you've been listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening, and we ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.